Where's my pen? Um, this is just a little thing meant for the background. Um, but I'll do some demonstration real quick just to show y'all, you know, some of the things you could do when you're pretty good, pretty comfortable with doing profiles. If you do comics or you want to draw comics, side profile is a shot that you should get familiar with because you're gonna have to do it a lot. You know, you can really do it really simply by just one hump, two hump, three hump, four hump, five hump. Now you got face. Do one big one medium one, two little ones, and another big one. And then it just depends how you want to put your eyes in there. You could do them all type of ways. Your eyes, your mouth, your nostrils, boom, bang, and it's a face. But that's the simplified version. Obviously, I'm gonna go more in detail. Get the flute. But that is a way to do a profile really fast. And that you just have to do it quick like this, you just gotta understand your proportions. Because these are the lips, your nose, your forehead. You've got a weird face. So you just draw one big hump, medium hump, two little, another big one. They're ugly, but I'll show you how to do better ones. We'll get into the other stuff. Quick sidebar, if you find this video insightful at all, give me a like or subscribe. I've got plenty of more videos like this on my channel. So let's open a new layer. And just go over the basic proportions of the head. So your eyes are about halfway in the middle, or you got this whole little area to work with, like from halfway to a little bit above halfway. Up here is stretching it, but in here is the sweet spot where you want your eyes. So say we draw a head. Is my this some for that. Okay. Alright, so we could put our eyes. You'll put our eyes up here, but you see that's a little too high. If the chin is here, you can do it, but it will look high unless it's part, it's for a reason. So we really want our eyes down here. Which is right above halfway. And then your nose is kind of another middle point. The bottom of your nose, not the tip of your nose. That's another point. Now we could just draw a line from the eye, boom bang like that. And then your mouth is another middle point. Bang. Just to break it down as simply as possible. See that? Middle point. Eyes, middle point. Nose, middle point between eyes and chin. Lips, middle point between nose and chin. You don't have to stick to it like glue, but it's really just a reference for you to understand, like, if your face is not looking right, think about it in those terms. Okay, and now let's talk about the back area, the neck and the cranium. So say the neck's coming straight down. How did I? Hold up, let's figure out the ears and then go to the neck. So the ears are gonna be straight back from the eyes. And like they'll start around halfway. Halfway in the middle. And they'll be about as big as the nose, so that's too small. Ears are tricky. Sometimes you do gotta just play around with them till they look right. Everybody's ears are a bit different. But that's about it. Alright, so once you have your ears, then you also got the kind of edge of your jaw. And that, how pronounced your jaw is depends on what type of character you're drawing. Alright, and then, so we're drawing a man. This first one is a man, so men have a more angular brow. Just by adding this one angle, I've made this more masculine. I've made this a masculine face. And depending how I do this chin will determine also how masculine. So we do it like that, boom, back. But anyway, we're doing the neck. So the neck will come straight down. Not actually straight down. It's always slanted a little bit. No one has perfect posture. But you could, for stylistically, you could make it straight up. Alright, that's his neck. It's too skinny though. For this man, his proportions, his neck would be a little bit bigger. So we're gonna bring it out a little. Then there we go. like you flying glider. And then so when you do your hairline, that's up to you as well. But it starts somewhere near the top of the head, depending how old they are, stuff like that. Some important things to remember is your eyebrows and your eyes. They're always going to be way shorter than the full eye when you're looking at it front on, because you're only seeing about half of the eye. You can only see about half of it from one side. So you really only see a little bit of the eye. I should have done the other eye. And the rest of the curvature is the eyeball. So you want to remember that it's a round. The eyeball is round, not flat. You don't want to do your eyes like. I mean, you can do your eyes however you want. I ain't gonna tell you what not to do. But it's just important to remember that even if you're doing manga eyes, you still need to remember, like, I don't know, that's a bad eye, but they still keep that perspective of the sphere of the eye with manga and anime eyes. But I'm gonna get into the different isms later on. But this is a man. He's got kind of a angular face. Looks like he could be a Sly character. Whatever. That's just how you break down a profile. It's just having everything. And I started with this circle. Then I come down and pick how long that face is. You can really play with that part. The distance from the chin is from the bottom of the sphere. It depends on how long the character's head is. With all of this stuff, there's always variations, and that's, you have to play with the variations. That's how you get unique looking characters. But you also have to understand, where the rules are, where the averages are, and these are all just averages. Some people's, you know, it's not a hard rule. It's not a law. But let's do a woman's profile. I'm not like, I don't know. Let's see. Woman's profile. We'll make her head a little shorter, smaller. So the eyes, if we have this, the eyes will be about here, popping. And I'm just denoting stuff lightly. But once you get more comfortable, you don't really have to, draw all the guidelines and think it through. That's why I showed you guys all these quick sketches. Is just once you get comfortable with the side profile, you can do it really quick. You can bang it out. Because you're only drawing half of the face, it's kind of like a cheat code to drawing characters really fast. You only have to draw one eye, and you can still get as the same amount of expressiveness. But yeah, for a girl, there's a lot of differences. It's just hard for me to name all the differences. I should have thought of this, but I'll try to list them as I draw. So the brow. The first thing is the brow. Well, I won't do the brow yet, actually. We got our eye here. Our nose is gonna be You'll half this. Bottom of our nose. That seems a little long, but it is. Let's bring it in all the way. This straight line thing, I don't usually do that. Usually I think of it more like a curve, but I'm just trying to make this more simple because a lot of people's profile doesn't actually line up straight like that. Um, but it helps to simplify things. All right, I keep having to slow down to half. We gotta go through the proper steps and procedures. Yeah, yeah, it does. I'm gonna go over that in a second. Alright, so if we have this, the lips will be right there. Alright, the lips are down here. Her eyes are a little high. I'm gonna bring them down a little bit. So, this is a bad one. I don't know what. I think I did her skull too small or something. But anyway. So, men have a more angular. Excuse me. Men have a more angular face and profile, while women don't. I don't like this one at all, but it's what we got for right now. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. Excuse that. I wasn't supposed to play. There we go. Alright. So both of these are some flat-faced folk. I don't mean anything by that, but all of their features line up completely. But that's not how people really are. But I'm showing you that just so that if it's not working out the way you're trying, you can try to simplify it like that. But normally, I would do a profile more like that. And then I'll adjust it as I go. So extra weight on the side of the profile. Let's try to draw that. But you see, this doesn't line up, but it still kind of does. But you don't need everything in a perfect line. Extra weight, the most obvious part is it affects the chin. You got the double chin. There's also just like less of a double chin, but some fat. You know, some people, doesn't mean you're overweight or you're fat, but we all carry fat on the face differently. So you can play with the extremeness of this fat, and just remember that the skin connects under the chin, so the more fat it gets, the more that's gonna be pronounced. And then when you have extra fat, it also just adds more gravity. There's more gravity. Uh, the gravity has more to pull on. So, um, a lot of times you might see, you know, something right here under the mouth. You know, there's a little bit of fat too. That's a little too much. But like right here on the corners, and then you also get, you know, a lot of the shapes on the face become convex instead of concave. Like where the neck is concave on most people, the more fat you have on the back, you know, it becomes convex. I'm not trying to say any of this in a judgmental way. It's just how we all have fat. It just sits. It sits differently on everybody. It's part of the uniqueness of being a human. But what was I gonna say? The ears. Where the jaw is under the ears often becomes less pronounced when you have fat, because it's you know, you have this fat here, and you know, you probably have fat around here that, you know, kind of makes it a little harder to see your jawline. And obviously it's the same with this. Depending on the amount of fat is the degree of which it affects that. And then you don't really start getting fat and stuff on the forehead until you get to that obese level. For real, you gotta be really, well, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but I think you gotta be really down that, like, I don't even know how to draw that, but it happens. I've seen it on TV. Forehead fat. I'm about to Google that real quick, because I've seen it before.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. What? What's up, Kova? Yeah, you gotta be really down there. You gotta be eating big. I don't even know. That just messed my head up. Forehead fat? Like, you really had to run out of spots to put the fat. To have it on your forehead. I can't, I'm trying to draw it, and I have to comprehend it to draw it. I was just looking at some pictures. And the only picture I see of actual forehead fat is the lady who I already saw on TV. She might be the only one. Yo.
You just look at this image, and you'll understand. Hold on one second, let me pull it up on OBS. Oh, shout out to Tammy. Alright, so this is a perfect example of how fat sits on the face. I forgot about these ones. The little dimples. Those ones are cute. These little parts, they're not cute. They actually make you look tough. And then you see how the brow lowers a little bit. I think you get the point, right? But basically, you go back to step 1 of our lesson. And instead of doing a little bump for the chin, you do another biggest bump. So you're gonna do one big bump, medium bump, 2 little bumps, and another big bump. And there you got your Alright, now we're going to talk about old people. Talked about fat people, now we talk about old people. Old people got it like that, man. Yeah, so this one I'm just actually going to draw the skull. And then I'll draw the skin on top of it so you guys can really see what the structure's like, you know? You know what I'm saying? Can really see the layers of the face. And okay, the rest is just like that. Alright, now we gotta turn this skeleton into an old person. That way I could show you what happens when you get old. Show you how to, so you'll know how to draw an old person. Go get some wrinkles, man. Go get some wrinkles on your forehead. Go where your nose happens. Your nose, the ball of your nose is gonna get way bigger, man. The joint gonna get way bigger, man. You're gonna have to, and then what happens? I forgot about that. Man. See, the skeleton is inaccurate. You're gonna lose all them teeth, buddy. You're gonna have to lose them teeth, man. So then you got a whole different position on your skeleton. Cause You don't got no teeth. So then your whole thing ain't even like, ain't no teeth in there. It's all gums. Okay. Straight gums. See what happens? Now you see why they why it's like that. Why they look like that. See why they look like that. Okay. Alright, what else happens? You get more wrinkles. You get even more wrinkles. You get them around your eyes, your nose, even your lips turn into wrinkles. But don't worry, you just won't need Blistex anymore. The sides of your mouth even turn into wrinkles. Not that big though. Not that big of wrinkles. Your eyes, they get sunken in. Even though they turn into wrinkles, they still get sunken in. Your cheeks lose all their fat. Oh yeah, your earlobes get pretty long. As you get older, your earlobes grow. I forget that one. There's a little bit of pronunciation. So generally, everything just becomes a little more convex. They might develop an overbite if, they got no teeth. But sometimes it's not and it's an underbite. But whatever it is, if they've got no teeth, it'll be way more pronounced. Because they got no teeth. Could do it like that. learning your profile, side view will also help you to understand lighting, because when you have your profile, it really shows you where the planes are. You know, we got everything is really broken down. You know, we got a plane right here. We got this is a plane that faces up. These are, I'm highlighting all the planes that are going to receive light if the light's up here. We got another plane right here. Plane. There you go. Those are all the planes that face up. I guess we'll just do all that whole thing. I'm sorry. And then you also got planes that face down. You just have to look at the peaks, and anything on top of the peak faces up. Anything on the bottom of the peak faces down. So all this faces down. All of this faces down. That's another plane that's kind of unseen. It's this little eyelid plane, but it's there. What else is facing down? Your top lip, underneath your bottom lip, this whole shebang. This whole side is pretty much a plane too, but it's not. So that's all a plane pretty much. So in my head, I just think of them. I think of it like think of the silhouette as different components, you know. So bang, we got our this one's in. So I just think of that angle between the two planes whenever I'm drawing, like even if it's a 3/4. These are still planes, and it gives me like it just helps me break up the surfaces in my head, understand the shape, because a lot of my drawings when I'm doing my work is all black and white and ink, so I don't have all the shading and colors to like understand the shape of the head, but I still want my heads and drawings to feel like there's actual shape to them through the shading, but I only have the line drawing to go off of reference, so I have to kind of use the lines to help understand the lighting. You gotta play with your proportions. I wanted to go over that. There's certain things that, you know, indicate a certain type of character, and you can see how far you could push it. You could do a chin that's this big for real, if you just, you know, do it with some confidence. So yeah, I did a big chin. What you gotta do about it? What you know what I'm saying? You act like the chin was supposed to be that big, but I said they're gonna be. Damn, that's a big chin. What they gonna do with it? To flatten her. Could put some pants on that chin. You know what I'm saying? You could play with the just have fun with it. Just make little things. Draw things. And see what you come up with. Play with the proportions. Big head means you're smart. Obviously, these are dramatic. You can play with them more subtly. The other thing is if your forehead and your brow comes in, the more it comes in right here before your nose, the angrier you are. I could do something like this. But not that angry. Not that angry, right? But if I do it like this, hold on, like that, they're angry. Especially if you do like that, boom, they're angry. They're angry too, but they're not nearly as angry as this. I'm giving y'all game right now. Y'all better soak it up. I'm trying to tell you. Big eyes for kids. If you do big eyes, they look like kids. Obviously. Everybody knows that. See, that's a kid. That's how you draw a kid right here. That's how you draw a kid. Alright. That's gonna be it. That's it for my TED Talk. Stay up, stay creative.